Coach, you're in that mode now where you're halfway through fall camp and there's still 2 weeks to go for the first game. Mentally and physically, how challenging is it for the team just to get in that mindset where you're midway through everything?
Yeah, I think just it's taxing on their brains, it's taxing on their bodies right now, and so we've installed a ton, and now I think the toughness part comes out where guys are able to push through both physically and mentally, seeing different looks, handling that. Everybody's bodies are sore right now. We understand that, so. But getting in a rhythm has been phenomenal. I think this is the shortest camp I've ever been a part of, where we only had 8 practices before we started school. So a little bit of a disadvantage there. So we got into kind of a hybrid week where we're in a kind of a mock game week, but still getting some good on good work right now. But I think it is nice for these kids to find a rhythm and be able to have a set schedule and really get used to, this is the first time practice has been in the morning here in a really long time, maybe ever. And so, I think getting their bodies adjusted to getting up early, getting their brain going early, and then being able to have the rest of the day to be able to go to school, go to study hall, get their lifts in, all those different things. But it's been really nice to finally get on a regular schedule.
Coach, how is this time for you as a head coach? Every head coach I've ever been around, there's a clock and the alarm hits at some point and you start thinking, oh my God, we play in a couple of weeks. And it's not quite there yet, but where are you?
Yeah, I think just, when you get into it, my brain's going constantly. And so it's something I don't sleep very well. I've had a couple armadillo problems tearing up my lawn. And so finally a couple days ago, I just popped up at 2:30 because I couldn't sleep and thinking about something. I thought it was a great opportunity to go outside, and luckily I found him. This is my first experience with an armadillo. He was crushing my yard, my flower beds, digging everything up. But I got him about 2:30. Had to send a text message to my neighbors. I apologize for the gunshot. I am in the country, so it was legal. But I did get rid of him just because I don't sleep right now. I think just naturally that clock's going off in your mind. Continues to race on the things we're doing good right now and what we need to continue to build on. And then, kind of some of the holes that we have and continue to build depth. I think that's going to be a consistent theme across college football as the portal grows and stuff, and trying to build the depth chart and feel good about your 2s and 3s.
Coach, what are your overall thoughts about practice today?
Yeah, I thought today was a good day. We split up and we did a little bit more scout work than what we've done in the past, and so just trying to mix some stuff up and get their brains going. They've been going against the same defense all through spring, all through the summer, and then now into fall camp. And so we just mix, and the kids don't really know it. Like, we're not doing just Oregon or just Tulsa, but we threw some of those looks in just to get their brains firing. We're a 4 down front. We threw in some 3 down stuff to be able to make those calls. Protections are different. And so I thought today was pretty good. Now we got to get better on the scout team. Like, that's natural. It happens every year. Some kids are sad because they're finally over on scout teams and they have to give a good look. There's not red shirting anymore. Everybody's 5 for 5, so they can get that out of their head. But yeah, I thought today was a good work day. Come back tomorrow, really work on some red zone stuff and start cleaning some stuff up. Really one more scrimmage, one more opportunity to really, tackle and show on tape what you can do this next Saturday, and we'll be into a true mock game week, really preparing for Tulsa that next week.
What were your morning practices? Is that something you've always done?
Yeah, no, as a player, always afternoon, and then Mike Leach was always afternoon. So I guess year 3 or 4 at Texas Tech when we were there, we transitioned to the morning. And then when I was in Incarnate Word, we had to because of class conflicts. And so, we went really early there. I think 5:45 in the morning was when we got everything kicked off. And so it's something that, I think the recovery, there's some science behind it. The recovery's a little bit better. We've gone back and forth whether to practice on Thursday or Friday. I think half of America still practices, with pads on Thursday. The other half does what you call Fast Friday. And so we're going to go Thursday this year, and then just give them Friday completely off. It's always a hectic day, especially with, a small town like Stillwater, people traveling in to really let their minds rest on Friday. But yeah, so this is probably my 10th or 11th year that I've actually, practiced in the morning.
Were there any revelations last Saturday? I know you're not going to say anything bad, but anything good? Just like, wow, that was pretty good.
No, I thought, Drew was really good. I thought our ones were good on both sides and executed, and I think, you know, when you get down the depth chart, you still want to see, you know, some of those younger guys and build out. And then two, you know, for us this next week, we're going to try to set a preliminary depth chart just so our special teams, you know, some of those last 5 or 6 spots are going to be guys that are 4 core special teams for us. And so, you know, we'll have a number of guys that really won't contribute offensively or defensively, but, you know, they're going to get a seat on that bus because how valuable they are on special teams. So I wouldn't think, you know, anything. I mean, I thought, you know, we stayed healthy for the most part. And we're able to get out of there, a couple bumps and bruises here and there, just like everybody else in camp right now. But it was a good work day. You know, I thought the offense was probably a little bit better than the defense holistically. And I think that's natural. The first time anxiety, you get out there, you have to tackle for the first time, and some things we got to clean up. But defense, I thought they finished really strong in the scrimmage.
You were wanting to have kind of maybe a number one unit on the offensive line after the first scrimmage. Did you get to that point?
We're getting close right now. We're getting close, and so still working, you know, with Braden, not 100% healthy right now. You know, he's a guy that's played a ton of football, so he's one that we'll have to throw into the equation. Now, whether that's guard or tackle, he's played both. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Sexton's done a phenomenal job at left tackle. Mercer's for sure the guy at center. You know, I think the one, you know, Joseph Hansen has moved around a little bit, is playing really good. I'd say the surprise of the camp so far is Sean Torgerson, and somebody that's really played phenomenal for us. He can play multiple positions. We've had him at right tackle right now, him and Lepo battling that out. And then Johnny Dixon's done a good job at guard for us. So yeah, I mean, we're getting really close, and hopefully, you know, throughout this week we're going to work who we think are those guys together, and let them gel, get on the same page, see them compete one last time Saturday.
Some coaches are leery of playing true freshmen. You've played true freshmen. Caleb's a good example. Can you talk about just the trust factor of some of those true freshmen, and do you see some potential for some of your young players this season?
Yeah, I think, you know, Savion Bartholomew's done a good job, you know, and I think that's one of the hardest positions to play early is the defensive line. You know, we have Standard. Davon has done a phenomenal job at receiver. He's kind of worked himself up the depth chart and is getting some good looks right now. You know, I think those will be the two that really step out. I mean, kind of pop in my head right now that have a chance. And then we're just such an older roster right now, you know, and so luckily we're able to, you know, keep some of those guys in the weight room, put them down the scout team. I mean, that's where so many guys get better, you know, every time these young offensive linemen, you know, have to go against this one D-line every single day. They're going to get so much better with all those reps. So those are the two that I could see right now possibly getting some playing.
What goes into that trust factor as a coach? What do you see in a true freshman that makes you say this guy can play?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, this is my livelihood and how I earn a paycheck and all these coaches here. And so, you know, I think in this era of college football, you know, especially no more red shirts, like you're going to put your best foot out there, and whoever gives you the best chance to win on Saturdays, doesn't matter how old they are. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to prove over the course of, you know, the whole entire camp. The scrimmages have been great to see those guys actually be out there live without a coach, without a controlled environment around them. But yeah, and so I think we're going to play whoever gives us the best chance.
Both of those guys.
Two guys at different positions, Kivion Huddleston and Terrence Lewis. How have you seen those guys develop in the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think Terrence Lewis has had probably his best little stretch of 8 or 9 practices together that he's had since I've known him. I think, you know, he's always shown flashes. It's been a consistency factor of it. Had a phenomenal touchdown in the scrimmage on I think it was a 2-minute drive, but you know, caught a post and made 3 or 4 guys miss and scored a 60-yard touchdown, which was just really good to see him put it all together. And so the consistency I can continue to see out of him. And then Kiwi's a guy that you know, he's not real flashy in the way he does things, and that's kind of how he was last year. And then all of a sudden he shows up in the stat line every single week, you know, and ends up having, you know, a sack here and 2 or 3, you know, tackles for loss. And so Kiwi's someone that's going to be in the rotation and play a ton of football for us.
We're talking to Carson Kolb today too. Talk a little bit about, I know you mentioned him with special teams, but he probably can help you some at tight end. I didn't realize he was a track guy. He ran 100 meters in high school.
What was his time?
I don't know what it was, but he ran it.
That shocks me too. So Carson, you know, typical meathead, you know, someone that's always drinking an energy, full of energy, screaming in the weight room. I mean, he's kind of a throwback in that regard. But I would say, if we played a game tomorrow, I mean, there's a good chance he's our starting tight end right now too. And so, someone that's improved so much, has to continue to work on ball skills and just catching it with people around him. But he's someone that thinks fast. He's able to do multiple things out there. He's been really good blocking in the core with some toughness for us. And so he just continues to be a guy that gets noticed around here in every camp, and that's even though he's not a freshman, but somebody that we brought in that we didn't foresee this kid possibly being a starting tight end when we started this thing. So, but he's earned it and continues to move his way up and get more and more reps.
How much
You guys want
similarities?
offensive players get them now? They got to go to a lift.
How much similarities does he show to Oscar Hammond in the tight end room?
Yeah, a little bit different. I think, Oster is a little bit more of a receiver converted to tight end. Carson is almost a linebacker mentality converted to a tight end. So, I think Oscar's game a little bit more finesse, better route runner, better receiver out there in some one-on-one matchups. And Carson's a little bit better in the core and able to, run an ISO on a linebacker, run split zone, cut off the backside defense, and all those things.
Those the two freshmen that you talked about, they were both guys that showed up in summer. Is that getting more and more unique to see a guy show up in summer and be able to compete right away?
I think so. Usually they have a better chance if they come in early, right? And I think I'd add probably Brody, our quarterback, to that. Having a chance to play some football this year, he's really grown. But I think there's so many people that are graduating early. That's kind of the new norm, and so I think just if you looked at a study across the nation, I'd say the majority of them all came early and gave them a chance to play, but those two are outliers, I guess.
Not from an X-No perspective, but maybe a stylistic perspective. What would be the blueprint for beating good teams this year for this team?
Oh man, we have a whole keys to victory thing, and I think obviously on offense, we can't turn the football over and give people freebies, and that was something that I think when we won the turnover margin, we were so good. Obviously, we got to stop the run on defense. Like, if you can't stop a running football team, you're going to have problems the whole entire day, right? And then two, I think being aggressive on the defensive side and being able to get them in third and advantageous situations for us, with some third and long situations, have been really good. I think naturally possessions have cut down with all the new rules of football, and it's kind of made everybody slow it down, and you've seen the tempo go away. You've seen really commit to tight ends and running the football, and so our recipe might be a little bit different as we get into it. Week by week we're going to have to figure out what we're good at and what we can execute at a high level. But field position for us, creating explosive in the special teams area is something huge for us. We were able to do that and change the field last year a ton. And so I think there's a lot of different variables that go into it. But those are some of them that popped to my head.
How do you feel about your defense, your run defense right now?
Yeah, I think good. I think when you go against the same guys repetitively for so long, like that's why I talked about a couple weeks ago, I'm so anxious to finally play somebody just to see where we're at and really some of the bad too, and some of the problems that we're going to have to fix in the defense, offense, and special teams. But it's been good. It's gotten better. I think people are really understanding the fits. I think these DNs can set an edge. They're big and strong, and so we've got to continue to grow inside and find the pieces that play well together inside. But holistically, I think we've really grown and been able to stop the run right now.
Eric, you played a
This is the
part
last one.
in finding both Drew and John Mateer. I know they're very different players, but is there a similar process in the ways that maybe those guys stood out as far as under the radar, under recruited guys?
No, I don't think so. And I think that's just a good point that all these quarterbacks are different. They have different mentalities. John, same thing. I mean, he's built like a linebacker. He thinks like a linebacker. I think everybody loves playing alongside of him because the toughness he brings to the team. He's the quarterback that's going to lower his shoulder on 3rd and 5 and try to get the extra yard. And then Drew is just such a analytically great processor. I mean, his mind works so fast. He can make all the throws, pure passer. So they're opposite, but I think it goes to show you all these guys, you can't put them in a box, right? You find winners that have great traits, that love to lead and do it with passion, and you can get the same result at the end of the day.
Is that
Thanks,
kind
guys.
of
Yeah, wrapping up. Thanks, guys. You can walk off.